A friendly DM about Bitcoin turned into a $8,000 scam that left me shocked and alone. It all began on an ordinary Thursday evening. I had just finished cooking dinner and was scrolling through my messages on my phone while my cat curled up on my lap. Most of the messages were from friends or family, nothing unusual. Then, I noticed a new DM from someone I had never met. The username was simple, just CryptoTips88, and the message read like a casual, friendly note. They said hello and asked if I was interested in learning more about Bitcoin. At first, I almost ignored it. I had received random messages before, and most of them were scams. But this one was different. The person wrote clearly, without spelling mistakes or strange links. The tone was calm and polite. They said they had been investing in cryptocurrency for years and wanted to help people who were new to it. I felt a small spark of curiosity and decided to reply. The conversation started slowly. They asked me what I knew about Bitcoin and listened as I explained that I had read a little but never invested. Then they offered advice, breaking down complicated terms into easy words. They sent screenshots of profits they claimed to make and stories about people who had grown their savings. Everything seemed casual, like talking to a friend rather than a stranger online. Over the next few days, we talked almost every evening. They told me about trends, gave tips, and even shared articles about crypto news. Their messages were never pushy. Instead, they seemed genuinely helpful, answering my questions patiently and giving encouragement when I said I was hesitant. I began to feel comfortable talking to them. It almost felt like having a mentor, someone I could trust. One night, as I was scrolling through the latest messages, they suggested I could try a small investment to get started. They explained it carefully, saying I could see how it worked and that it would be completely safe. They even offered to guide me step by step. I felt nervous but excited. My savings were not huge, just $8,000, but it was all I had managed to put aside over the years. I spent hours thinking about it. My mind was filled with dreams, paying off debts, finally taking a trip I had always wanted, even saving for a small apartment. I convinced myself that this was not reckless. I had researched cryptocurrency before and knew the risks. But this person seemed honest. They had built trust in just a few days. Their calm, friendly approach made it feel safe. Finally, I made the transfer. I followed their instructions exactly, sending the money to the account they provided. For a few hours afterward, I watched my phone constantly. The dashboard showed small gains almost immediately, and I felt a rush of excitement. I told myself that I had made the right decision. I was careful, patient, and now I was about to see my money grow. For the next few days, everything appeared normal. The balance on the platform slowly increased, and they checked in with encouraging messages. They called me by my first name, reminded me not to worry about minor delays, and sent screenshots of trades supposedly generating profits. I felt a sense of pride and relief. I had done something bold and responsible, or so I thought. Then one morning, I noticed something was off. The platform loaded slowly, and some features were missing. I tried to withdraw a small portion, just to see if it worked, but it failed. I sent a message to my contact, and for the first time, the tone of the replies seemed different. They apologized and gave vague explanations, saying the withdrawal was under review. A tiny seed of doubt began to grow in my mind. By the end of the week, things got worse. The website became unreachable, and my messages went unanswered. The social media profile I had trusted, the friendly face I had talked to every day, had disappeared. Suddenly, the reality hit me. The person I thought was a mentor, a guide, even a friend, had been lying from the very beginning. Every story, every screenshot of profits had been fake. The $8,000 I had worked so hard to save was gone. I sat on my bed, staring at my empty bank balance, feeling frozen. I was shocked, hurt, and completely alone. It was not just the money. It was the betrayal, the realization that a stranger had manipulated my trust so easily. Every day I had chatted with them, I had believed in a connection that never existed. I had opened my heart and my savings to someone who had none of it back. Even now, thinking about it makes my chest tighten. I learned the hard way that friendly words and calm advice can hide danger. Just because someone seems kind and patient does not mean they are trustworthy. The pain of losing money is heavy, but the lesson about blind trust is even heavier. After the platform went offline, I felt completely lost. The first hours were like a nightmare I could not wake up from. I stared at my laptop and phone, clicking the site again and again, hoping somehow it would come back. Every time I refreshed, I felt a small flicker of hope, but it quickly died. The dashboard was gone, the account vanished, and all the messages from the person I trusted had disappeared. I could not believe that just a few days ago I had been so excited to see my profits grow. I tried to calm myself. I told myself maybe it was a temporary error, a server issue, or a simple misunderstanding. I even considered calling my bank to see if there was a way to reverse the transaction, but I quickly realized it was too late. The money had already been transferred and withdrawn, leaving no trace. Panic set in. My stomach felt tight, and my hands trembled every time I touched my phone. I could not think clearly. The next day, I tried every possible way to contact the person. I checked their social media accounts, sent messages to old emails, and even searched for their real name online. But there was nothing. The account had vanished. The friendly voice that had guided me for weeks was gone, leaving silence behind. Every screenshot, every story, every screenshot of a successful trade now seemed like a lie I had believed too easily. I remember sitting on my bed for hours, my head in my hands, crying silently. $8,000, my savings, my security, my careful planning, all gone. I felt so foolish. I had been careful in other areas of my life, cautious with friends and family, yet I had handed my trust to a stranger online because their messages sounded kind and reassuring. The betrayal hurt more than the money. I started telling myself stories in my head about how I could fix this. Maybe the scammer would be caught. Maybe someone could track the account. I looked online for advice, reading forums, articles, and stories of people who had been scammed before. Most of the stories ended the same way. Money gone, scammers vanished, victims left with nothing but regret. Each story made my heart sink further. I tried talking to friends about it, but it was difficult. Some were sympathetic, some shook their heads, some asked why I had sent the money in the first place. I hated explaining myself over and over. Each time I had to recount the story, the shame returned. I felt embarrassed that I had been tricked by someone who seemed so genuine. It was hard to believe that someone could be so clever, so patient, and so cold at the same time. Days turned into weeks, and I started to realize that no one was going to give me my money back. The platform was gone. The account was gone. The friendly DM that had seemed so harmless at first was now a reminder of how easily trust can be stolen. I could not sleep properly. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped, thinking it might be a message from the scammer, or maybe even a miracle. But it never was. The loneliness of it all hit me the hardest. Losing money is one thing, but losing the sense that someone could be trusted, that was harder. I had been careful in so many parts of my life, yet I had let down my guard in the one place that felt safe, online, talking to someone who seemed friendly. I felt isolated, angry, and sad all at once. I kept imagining the scammer somewhere else, smiling, sending out more messages to trap more people. But slowly, I started to understand something important. This was not just about the money. It was about learning to protect myself, even when someone seems kind. I realized that scams often rely on emotions, trust, hope, excitement. They use patience and friendliness to make people believe. The lesson was painful, but it was also a warning I could carry forward. I began writing down everything that had happened, every message, every screenshot, every step I had taken. I wanted a record for myself, to remind me not to repeat the same mistake. Writing it down was hard, but it helped me feel a little stronger. I could not get my money back, but I could take back my awareness, my understanding, and my caution. It was a long road to stop feeling the anger and heartbreak every time I thought about it. I had to accept that the money was gone, that the friendly DM was a trap, and that no one else was responsible. It was a lesson in blind trust and the dangers of online promises. The $8,000 loss hurt, but the lesson it taught me about caution and patience was priceless. Even now, months later, I sometimes think about that day. The friendly messages, the excitement, the hope, all of it seems like a distant memory. But the lesson is clear. Not everyone who smiles online is trustworthy. Not everyone who seems patient and helpful has good intentions. And no matter how promising something looks, it is always better to pause, research, and protect yourself before acting. Weeks after the scam, life felt heavy and strange. I woke up every morning with a knot in my stomach, remembering that $8,000 I had sent to someone I thought I could trust. The first few days were the hardest. I could not focus at work, and every sound around me felt distant. Even small tasks seemed impossible. The sunlight streaming through my window felt cold instead of warm, and I found myself staring at my phone for hours, hoping against hope that somehow the account would reappear, that my money would be back. But it never did. At night, I would lie awake thinking about every step I had taken. I replayed the first friendly message in my head, the patient guidance I had received, and all the screenshots of profits I had believed were real. Each memory stung, like a fresh wound. I could not stop asking myself how I had been so trusting. How could I have ignored the warning signs? How could I have been so excited about quick gains that I gave away something I had worked so hard to save? Slowly, though, I began to realize that staying stuck in anger and regret would not help me. I could not go back and change what had happened. The money was gone, and no amount of wishing or messaging would bring it back. I had a choice: either let this experience ruin me or learn from it and move forward. That realization was small at first, just a flicker of thought, but it grew steadily over time. I started with small steps. I focused on routines that grounded me. I cooked meals carefully, even though my appetite was weak at first. I walked around the neighborhood, breathing in the fresh air and watching life go on around me. I played with my cat, noticing the comfort in its small purrs and warm presence. I began keeping a journal, writing down everything I remembered about the scam. Every message, every screenshot, every promise. Writing it down helped me process my emotions. It helped me see the experience not just as a personal failure, but as a lesson about the world and human behavior. As I rebuilt my emotional strength, I realized that I could also rebuild financially. I created a plan to save money slowly, one step at a time, making sure every decision was cautious. I researched investment opportunities carefully, asked questions, and verified everything twice before acting. I learned that there is no such thing as guaranteed profit, and that anyone promising it is likely lying. It was painful to adjust my mindset, but each small step gave me a sense of control I had not felt since the scam. One of the most important changes, though, was how I viewed trust. Before, I had believed that friendliness and patience were proof of honesty. Now, I knew that anyone, even someone who seemed kind and helpful, could hide a completely different intention. I learned to question carefully, verify details, and never act on impulse. I realized that trust must be earned through consistency, transparency, and verifiable actions, not words alone. I also began to share my story with others. At first, it was just a few friends who I trusted, people who had also experienced online scams. Then I posted about it in forums where people discussed cryptocurrency and online fraud. I was nervous at first, afraid of being judged or embarrassed, but the response surprised me. People thanked me for sharing. Some told me they had gone through similar experiences. Others asked for advice on how to avoid scams. Sharing my story gave me a sense of purpose. Even though I could not recover my money, I could help others protect themselves. That realization gave me some peace. Months passed, and slowly, I felt stronger. I could work through a day without constantly thinking about the money. I could check my savings without fear. I could even read about cryptocurrency and finance again, though now with caution and careful analysis. Life returned to normal, not the way it had been before, but in a way that felt real and grounded. Through all of this, I learned something essential. Losing money is painful, but losing awareness and caution can be far worse. I had been blinded by hope, excitement, and the desire for quick success. The scam was clever because it preyed on my emotions, not just my finances. That understanding, bitter as it was, became a lifelong lesson. I realized that patience, research, and caution are more valuable than quick gains or easy shortcuts. Now, I move forward differently. I plan carefully, save diligently, and never let excitement override my judgment. I still dream of financial growth and independence, but I know it takes time, effort, and careful planning. The scam cannot take away my future, only my unearned trust, and I refuse to give that away again. Whenever I talk to someone new about investments, I remember my experience. I tell them the story, not to scare them, but to teach them. I explain that friendly words online can hide danger. I explain that patience, research, and verification are critical. And I explain that no matter how appealing something looks, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. The $8,000 was gone, but the lesson it left me with is priceless. It has shaped me into a more careful, thoughtful, and aware person. I no longer see trust as something to give freely, but as something earned. I no longer see opportunity as something instant and guaranteed, but as something that must be built steadily. I may have lost money, but I have gained clarity, wisdom, and the ability to protect myself in the future. Even now, when I see friendly messages from strangers online, a small part of me still feels the sting of that loss. But I no longer feel helpless. I no longer feel alone. I have learned to stand firm, to verify, and to act with caution. Life goes on, and I am ready to face it with open eyes, knowing that lessons learned the hard way are lessons that last forever. Don't miss the next story. Stay smart, stay safe, and hit follow.